All right, welcome to this edition of Talking Shipa. I am Jim Schultz. I'm a developer advocate here at Shipa, and with me again today is Shipa founder and CEO, Mr. Bruno Andrade. Hello, Bruno.
Hey.
With the latest release of Shipa, we thought it'd be a good idea to record a quick video for all of our users detailing the Shipa installation process. It's a pretty straightforward process, but there are a few steps where we can offer some tips and guidance to help you get the best experience possible. So Bruno, if you'd like to go ahead and just take control here and start the installation, I'm going to also include some links down below for all of the things that you're going to need to get through the installation, but you should be able to use this to just follow along with us as you do your own install.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks for that, Jim. You don't need much to install get Shipa installed, and we try to make the process as easy as possible. And as Jim mentioned, you have all the documentation you need basically available here in this video. But a few things that I'm going to be following is the learn.shipa.io documentation, right? And that's what's available out there. And it can give you a detailed information that we can follow through on this video. Before our video, I created a GKE cluster where Shipa is going to be installed. So Shipa can be installed on clusters 1.15 and above, and doesn't really matter if that cluster is sitting on GKE, AKS, EKS, or whatever case you may have in your infrastructure or your on-premises Kubernetes. But I have a cluster here already created to save us some time, and we're going to be following the documentation. Just to make sure, I have here my terminal. Let me just update this. Great. Let me just make sure we can connect to the cluster. Great, I can connect. So we're gonna basically get started. The first step is we're gonna be installing Shipa into a specific namespace, right? Shipa doesn't actually create a namespace, but rather you have to give Shipa a namespace where it's gonna be installed. We usually use Shipa system, but you can customize it as you need. So I'm just creating an environment variable called namespace equal Shipa system. If I go back here, then I use kubectl to create that namespace. Great. If I just do kubectl get namespace, I can see my Shipa system in there. The next point for us is to create a values override YAML file. That file is basically the one where you're going to define the admin and the password for the admin user on Shipa. So we can just copy this. Let's make sure. Values override. I already have mine here, actually. So if we look at values override, I already have mine. I'm using bandrade@shipa.io and Shipa 2020, the most secure and safe password ever. Then the next step for us is to add the Shipa Helm chart. So when we install Shipa, we're going to use Helm. In my case, I might even have it here already. Oops, sorry. Let me just copy it again. Great. It already exists in my case. In your case, if it's a brand new install, you're going to have the Helm chart installed. And then the last, but definitely not least step is to install Shipa. So this process, this command is basically going to get Helm to start Shipa for you. And if we go back even to our GKE cluster, let me just filter by the right cluster here. We can see the services, they are going to start coming up. The install process itself takes around 3 to 5 minutes, really depending on the nodes that you have. And you can basically either refresh through here if you're using this type of a cluster managed with an interface, or you can basically get pods on the Shipa system, right? And you can also see the status from here. So As you can see, it is refreshing. Now we just wait. Awesome. So now that Shipa is installed, one way for us to know that the process is definitely complete, and this is also mentioned here in the documentation, is to look at the dashboard service, right? The dashboard service is basically the last service that Shipa deploys during the install. So when you see this one running here, either through a UI that you may have to manage your cluster, or maybe through your kubectl directly on your CLI, you can basically see it here. So dashboard is the last one. Shipa is ready to use. The next step for us directly here is basically downloading the Shipa client, right? Shipa has a UI interface, and Shipa also has a CLI that you can use to manage Shipa. Now we can install Shipa client is basically running this curl command. And it will install Shipa CLI that matches the Shipa instance that you just installed. Great. If we just type Shipa, I can see all the commands in here. If I do a Shipa login, for example, I can use the email and password that I have set in my value override file. And my next step now is to get my Shipa instance, or my Shipa CLI, linked to the instance that we just installed, right? And we can do that using the Shipa target add command. I'll pass a label, and the label may be whatever you want, because you may have different instances of Shipa, so you can label it any way you want. Basically, the target, which is the IP of the instance where Shipa is installed, and set as current, because again, you can have different Shipa instances, so you can choose which one you want to use at the moment. To get the target IP for your instance, you can run this command. Let's see. Great. I have here 35 to 30 41 204. So if we do a Shipa target add, for example, I can do Shipa install, which name you choose, and it's going to be the IP that we just got as a result of that command, -s, right? If it's set as current, that's the one we want to use. Great, the target is added. Now my Shipa CLI is pointing and linking to the Shipa instance that I just installed. And if I do Shipa app list, it's going to ask me to log in again, because that's the first time I plugged my CLI into that instance. And I can see my dashboard running. If I just copy this address, I have my Shipa dashboard, which I can log in using, again, the email and password that we used when on the values override file when installing Shipa. And here I have my dashboard available. So that's it. You can get Shipa installed very easy. Basically following up this documentation. Once it's done and installed, you see the dashboard service running. Next step for you is download the Shipa client into your machine and link your Shipa CLI with the target that you just installed. I hope that was helpful, Jim.
It is, yeah. Thank you very much, Bruno. And I hope that helps everyone watching as well. Now that you're all installed, please keep an eye out for the next Talking Shipa video. We're going to walk through defining your application policies. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to us. If you'd like to talk to us or one of our engineers, or just be part of the Shipa community, I'll put some links below on how you can get in touch with us that way as well. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you, Bruno. We'll see you on the next video.
Thank you, Jim.